Hi, you're watching.
In the previous chapter, in a world where tamers are common, a transmigrator named Chen Feng appeared from another realm. Due to this fact, his spirit power was low, and he barely managed to get a pet, if not for the help of a member of the Apocalypse Corps. Additionally, the pet he received was the lowest of the low. It was an ornamental grade with only one skill, and it was defense. Luckily, after contracting with the beast, an awaited system appeared, providing him with abilities to negate some damage as he sustained a specific amount. With this system and his new crew, Chen Feng successfully defeated their first beast. However, their challenges were far from over, as a pack of monsters soon appeared, presenting them with yet another test. Now on to the next part. The group now faced a pack of wolves, putting them on high alert. The snow leopard had been challenging enough, and now they had to deal with numerous wolves. Meanwhile, Captain Yu Ying felt like this was a good time for a drink instead, as he is on teaching duty right now. So in his mind, it was best to let the students deal with those troublesome monsters while he graded them on the side, and they could be sure that he will enjoy every moment of his free time, as it had been a long while since he had such a break. Nonetheless, as their mentor, he reminded them of the importance of unity and cooperation. But before all of that, they needed to develop the heart of a brave warrior who fears no enemy. However, this was easier said than done, as the other students were frozen in fear and unable to move their feet. To their surprise, the weakest and most injured among them, Chen Feng, was the first to step forward, and Sun Yan was notably worried, asking him to come back since his injury hadn't healed yet. But Chen Feng knew he was the only one with a defensive skill in the group. If not him, who could step to the front and tank the damage? Feeling responsible, he bravely moved forward. This display of bravery struck something within Sun Yan, making her eyes sparkle and her cheeks turn red, and the others noticed Chen Feng's sudden change in attitude as well. Even Lin Xiaoxiao blushed and praised him, which ultimately shocked her brother, as it was the first time he had ever heard his sister praise anyone. But she didn't even notice her brother's gaze or care for any of that matter, as her eyes locked on Chen Feng, and ultimately she was inspired by him, prompting her to encourage the others to join the fight, as she can't have her man fighting alone on the front lines. Thankfully, her words broke through their fear, and so they immediately rush in to join Chen Feng, who was tanking all the attacks from the wolves. And even though it hurts, knowing that he will improve as he took damage made it exciting for Chen Feng. Still, being on the defense could only do so much, and there were only so many hits he could take, and it seemed like his limit was about to be reached as his other leg began to give out. Luckily, thanks to the efforts of his teammates, the number of wolves was decreasing. Seeing this, Chen Feng felt even more responsible to get up and keep fighting until the monster wave dissipated completely. However, Sun Yan thought otherwise. She believed Chen Feng had done enough already and asked him to leave the rest to them. But Chen Feng was unwilling, believing that if he kept standing behind them, he wouldn't grow. With just a few words, Sun Yan realized that Chen Feng was fighting a battle within himself as well, and the only thing she could do to help was to support him. So instead of insisting he rest, Sun Yan insisted they fight together. This made Chen Feng smile, as this was what he wanted, to be seen as equal among his peers. With this understanding, the fight continued. The students, charged with vigor and newfound inspiration, fought alongside Chen Feng, defending against the wolves, and together they stood united ready to face anything. A few moments later, the fight concluded with the wolves defeated and the students left exhausted. The most beaten up of them all was Chen Feng, who was sitting under a tree trying to recover. But still he felt amazing, because although enduring the beating hadn't increased his defense, he did gain a damage reduction effect. To his surprise, he also acquired a new skill, which he immediately checked out. It was named Absolute Counter Barrier, but he wasn't able to read the description as his teammates approached, as they were concerned for his well-being. And Chen Feng was speechless, not knowing what to say. It was his first time experiencing such genuine concern from others, and before he could respond, Sun Yan took a bottle from her pocket and handed it to him. As a transmigrator and a broke-ass tamer, he didn't know what it was and asked about it, to which Lin Bei excitedly explained that it was an AX7 potion, an item so expensive that he jokingly urged Chen Feng to devote his life to Sun Yan in exchange for her kind gesture. This prompted Lin Bei to get his ass handed to him by his sister for making such jokes. But now that it was clear to Chen Feng, he gratefully accepted the potion and expressed his appreciation. He really needed it, as he felt he couldn't walk anymore with the injuries he had sustained. But even before he could take the potion, Captain Yu Ying approached them with a grin, as he was delighted to see them all in high spirits, and announced that Sun Yan would lead the patrol team from here on out. They no longer had to follow him, as they had learned bravery and teamwork. So the next thing they needed to learn is to be independent and make their own judgments. To help them, he handed them a map that marked a route for them to follow. But unexpectedly, a massive roar echoed through the area, so powerful that it startled everyone. Even Captain Yu Ying was caught off guard. But despite his surprise, he remained calm, knowing that as a mentor it was essential to maintain his composure. And with this mindset, he still has the ability to calm down the students, telling them not to be nervous, assuring them that the monster they heard was already being handled by another patrol team. But his words did little to ease their worry as the sounds grew increasingly chaotic, heightening their anxiety. But so suddenly, the roar grew closer and closer. Before they knew it, the monster was almost upon them, rampaging so fiercely that even the patrol team was running for their lives. It was understandable, as one swing from the beast could easily turn them into red paste. And it was this powerful as it was a ferocious grade frosty ape, and its appearance could only mean one thing, and that the beast tide is about to begin. Thankfully, reinforcements arrived, trying to fend off the beast as much as they could. But little did they know, the frosty ape was already at level 40, allowing it to easily tank every hit. The only one who knew this was Chen Feng, and he was in total shock upon seeing this, and the fact that it was an elemental beast made things even worse. And it didn't help that they could see countless of monsters are just up ahead approaching them at a rapid rate, adding to their distress. In response, however, Captain Yu Ying shouted orders for everyone to gather around him, preparing to initiate a retreat. But before following his orders, Chen Feng regained his composure and made sure to use the potion. As soon as he fully consumed it, his injuries suddenly vanished, surprising Chen Feng with how effective the potion was. Now healed, Chen Feng asked the captain which route they should take to get back. The captain answered that they should take the route through the main gate and move quickly. With that, Captain Yu Ying called out his pet and initiated the retreat. The students tried to keep up, and it seemed they were fast enough, as Captain Yu Ying could see that no one was getting left behind. And as they ran, Chen Feng used the opportunity to check the information of the new skill he had recently obtained. To his surprise, it was actually a crowd control and damage skill, as it allowed him to taunt and take aggro from the target while returning 50% of the damage to the attacker. Additionally, it provided 70% protection against physical damage. Coupled with his passive skills, it was an incredibly powerful ability. Interestingly, its activation required him to talk trash, which added a fun twist to it. Not long after, they encountered another pack of monsters, but Captain Yu Ying's red-tailed lion was the one to welcome them with open arms, allowing the group to continue moving forward as the sooner they reached the city gate, the better. But something was bugging Su Nian, so she asked why the monsters seemed to no longer hide their presence, to which the others explained, quoting what the captain had mentioned. This was all because of a powerful beast's sudden appearance, and the fact that there were already monsters this close to the gate suggested that the situation there might not be good either. This worried them, because if that were the case, getting back to the other side of the wall would be much more difficult than they had hoped. And this was odd, prompting for Lin Xiaoxiao to ask how long it had been since the snow ape appeared. And the more meticulous member Lin Bei had counted that it was approximately 20 minutes had passed since then, which meant the real monster tide shouldn't have started yet. However, the chaos they were witnessing suggested otherwise. And this realization struck a blow to the group's morale, but Captain Yu Ying couldn't let that happen, and so he quickly encouraged them not to worry, assuring them that he wouldn't let any of the beasts get near them, and that he still had complete control of the situation. But deep down, Captain Yu Ying knew it himself that something abnormal was going on with this monster tide, but he put his worries aside, as his priority was to protect the kids at all costs. Meanwhile, in the overall setting of the tide, under the lead of the snow ape, countless flying insects swarmed through the skies, while snow leopards and wolves zoomed on the ground towards the city gates. 3 different species charging towards the gate was unexpected, and Chen Feng's group could only hide as they let the monsters pass by. Su Nian then asked Captain Yu Ying what they should do. She knew that even though these were common-grade monsters, it would be challenging for the students to handle even one, let alone so many. But Captain Yu Ying remained silent, as if he was thinking of what to do. Meanwhile, Chen Feng was looking at these monsters with his system mindset, only seeing them as an XP buffet that he could farm as much as he wanted. But he wasn't a fool. He knew that with his current level, trying to handle all these monsters at once would mean certain death. And on the side, Captain Yu Ying was still silent, which concerned the students. But in reality, the captain was just trying his best to listen to his surroundings, waiting to hear the return of his pet beast. When the red-tailed lion finally reached the mountaintop, he felt confident in dealing with the multitude of beasts. He knew his beast could handle several monsters at once, but not indefinitely. That was why they needed to move quickly once the attack started. While his pet drew the aggro, Captain Yu Ying would open the way for them, urging the group to keep up with him. With the plan explained, Captain Yu Ying and his beast charged through the countless monsters ahead. The students followed close behind, with Chen Feng leading the way. Captain Yu Ying skillfully cut a path through the chaos, ensuring that the group could advance safely toward the city gates, while the red-maned lion unleashed an area of effect attack on the side, creating a wide opening for the students. But the monsters were cunning and adapted to the circumstances, avoiding Captain Yu Ying and his pet to target the kids instead. Fortunately, having already fought common-grade monsters, the students were prepared. They easily disposed of any monsters that got close, each utilizing their pet's skills to the fullest, making every move count and dealing decisive blows. And with the students holding their ground, the lion had time to eliminate the other monsters fixated on them. Captain Yu Ying then commanded the students not to get caught up in fighting, and to continue their advance, as the gate was just a few dozen meters ahead. To their surprise, the frosty ape had also caught up, and was now in front of the gates, still rampaging and using every skill in its arsenal to break through the wall. And it showed no signs of stopping, even if its attacks killed other monsters. But the Imperial Army wouldn't sit idly by and let the monster do as it pleased, especially with General Shu still around. And without any warning, General Shu leaped from the wall and charged at the frosty ape, severing its left arm. The ape felt the pain deeply and kneeled in agony, but this was only temporary, as it revealed its ability to regenerate its limbs. While the ape was recovering, General Shu took the opportunity to join Captain Yu Ying and protect the students. This surprised Captain Yu Ying, who asked why General Shu had come down personally, which he told him to cut that shit up and just focus, as their priority was to protect the kids. And with that clear, he instructed Yu Ying to provide cover for the students as they moved to the corner of the wall, as he had ordered the ropes to be dropped upon their arrival. Captain Yu Ying quickly understood and assured General Shu that he would take care of it, and in no time, the students reached the wall and were met with ropes just as General Shu had promised. Simultaneously, the frosty ape had fully recovered from its injuries and was ready to retaliate, leaping towards General Shu with all its might. To its surprise, General Shu wasn't planning to fight it alone. He had his own pet with him, which attacked from the ape's blind spot, delivering a powerful sucker punch that sent the ape stumbling back a few steps. As the students climbed to safety, Chen Feng was watching from the side in awe, realizing that General Shu's beast was actually a ferocious level 51 blue-eyed tiger. Judging by their levels, the battle seemed to be nearing its conclusion. But, even with the odds stacked against it, the frosty ape wasn't backing down. It charged at the tiger without fear, but the tiger gladly demonstrated what level gap truly means, effortlessly dodging the attack, and then proceeded to go for a backshot. On the student's side, it was now Chen Feng's turn to climb the rope. Sun Yan helped him ascend faster, which he appreciated. It seemed he was the last one to come up, indicating that every student was now safe. But they couldn't let their guard down just yet, as another howl emerged from a different monster. It seems like this was the monster that had made the current tide extremely chaotic, and it is also a powerful one at that, as it had an ability to exude a violet aura that buffed the frosty ape's strength, making it even more menacing than it is. This development elevated everyone's uneasiness and worries about what this mysterious monster could be, but they didn't have to wait long. As it soon revealed itself, it was a ferocious level 42 frosty saber-tooth. Without hesitation, the saber-tooth charged at the blue-eyed tiger. But the tiger liked the odds and therefore just welcomes the new challenger head-on. But to everyone's surprise, this saber-tooth in particular is hella cunning, doing the most disrespectful ankle breaker in a split second just to get closer to the wall, instantly alarming everyone. Still, the tiger followed to prevent the saber-tooth's plans, but the ape was still present and therefore made an intervention, knocking the tiger off the wall and onto the ground. With this turn of events, the saber-tooth successfully breached the walls. Even General Shu was surprised by this sudden development, but he couldn't help as the ape was pressing them hard. And so the saber-tooth rampaged freely on top of the walls. Its roar alone paralyzed the soldiers of the Imperial Army, and therefore quickly disposed them on sight, leaving a trail of destruction. And this sight sent shivers down the students' spines. Yesterday, they were just normal students, and now they were witnessing countless lives being taken before their eyes. Despite this, Sun Yan tried to be brave, telling Chen Feng that everything would be all right. But her eyes betrayed her as tears appear. With this, Chen Feng realized that now was not the time to be a coward. He needed to lock in and protect his friends. If he didn't, Sun Yan and the others would be torn to shreds. With this realization, Chen Feng decided to act as a bait to buy the others some time to escape. He activated his new skill, Absolute Defense, and mocked the saber-tooth, taunting the beast in front of him. This completely surprised Sun Yan, while the saber-tooth was affected by Chen Feng's taunt, and attacked him without hesitation, biting onto the barrier with all its might. The force was so powerful that it shattered the barrier within seconds, but, due to the skill's effect, 50% of the damage was reflected back, knocking the saber-tooth back as well. And Chen Feng's teammates were in shock. Receiving a head-on attack from such a powerful beast was no small feat, and they worried about his condition, and therefore rushed to his aid. But Chen Feng had already made up his mind. He knew that 5 seconds wouldn't be enough for them to escape from this monster, and so he urged them to go and save themselves. And Sunyan immediately contested this, but the more rational siblings convinced her to do as Chen Feng asked. Despite her unwillingness, Sunyan knew that staying would only burden Chen Feng and endanger the others, making his sacrifice worthless. With this, she took a moment to look at Chen Feng before leaving with the others. Now that he could see the others run away, Chen Feng braced himself, hoping that his absolute defense would be enough to block the saber-tooth's attacks and buy time for reinforcements to arrive. But it seemed he would be waiting for a while, as the army was preoccupied dealing with countless flying insects trying to breach the wall. A few seconds later, recovering from the stun, the frosty saber-tooth emitted a purple glow, buffing itself and enlarging its physical body. With the sudden turn of events, Chen Feng looked at his turtle bro, as if apologizing for putting him through this, but there was nothing they could do now, as the saber-tooth charged in for the kill, and Chen Feng tried to block it again. But the beast's power had doubled, completely shattering his barrier in an instant, and despite receiving 50% of its own damage, the saber-tooth stood strong, its durability seemingly improved. In contrast, Chen Feng's life was depleting with every strike, the only benefit being that the target was stunned for 5 seconds. At the same time, the situation in front of the wall was also changing, as the frosty ape is now getting his ass beat up left and right, and with the opening they had made, they both detached its arm from its body. But they won't be stopping there, as the tiger used its special move to beam the ape's heart out of existence. And if that's not enough, General Shu went out to make sure this beast shuts up for good, plunging his spear deep into the ape's body. And with the snow ape defeated, the monster wave the ape led began to falter, giving the Imperial Army the upper hand. But the other boss, the frosty saber-tooth, was still alive and ready to fight, and since it was too cunning for its own well-being, some Maharaga-type shit was going on, as it was now trying to adapt itself to Chen Feng's absolute skill, and therefore unlocked a new ability that allows it to use its ice power to create an armor and wrap it around its body. And with this, it was now up and ready to take on Chen Feng, while Chen Feng is just completely tired and barely standing. Nonetheless, he activated his absolute defense to meet the beast halfway. Even his pet braced for impact, knowing this was a completely different challenge. And as expected, Chen Feng's barrier shattered, and the saber-tooth received 50% damage. But with its ice armor, the monster negated some of the damage and the stun duration was drastically shortened. With this, the saber-tooth quickly regained its ability to attack Chen Feng. And seeing it so close, Chen Feng knew it was over. He hadn't even gotten back up yet, but this bitch was all up in arms to devour him already. But just when all hope seemed lost, a powerful tamer arrived to aid Chen Feng. Accompanied by a formidable beast, the tamer issued a command, and the electric-type lion charged up its skill. In an instant, lightning soared through the skies and descended upon the saber-tooth, completely halting its advance and shattering its entire defense. And the impact was so intense that cracks of lightning appeared in the saber-tooth's eyes, breaking apart its insides. And the next thing they knew, the beast was a charred barbecue. And with this decisive intervention, the tide of the battle had finally ended. Hey! All jokes aside, if you like this commentary, like and subscribe for more. Peace.